Good morning, everybody, and happy Friday. Apparently, in this corner of my house, the internet is awful. So, you know, I hope it's not too bad. It looks really clear on my end over here, and I'm not getting a signal that the Wi-Fi is bad. Let me just check on this and make sure that it looks good. And then we've got an exciting topic. I've got about 15 minutes, so I'm going to try and keep it short, but also sweet and potent. So let me just log into lives and my channel and make sure. So I'm going to try and keep it perfect. Short. Cool. So today we are talking about temptation. And the reason why we're talking about this is because I've come to the realization after working with a lot of clients on their health and fitness. Some of them are Christian, some of them are not. I've I've come to realize that we have this view of temptation, particularly as it relates to food, and this kind of defeatist mindset when it comes to temptation around food. So I wanted to first let you know that temptation is mentioned like 50 times in the Bible. Some version of temptation is mentioned. So it's not like temptation is not going to exist. We know that it's going to exist. I think it's hyper, uh, I guess what I'm trying to say is it's a little bit more difficult when it's food because you have to eat every day, right? When you're tempted by like drugs, you don't need drugs to survive, right? When you're tempted by um, greed, you don't necessarily need to be greedy to be like a functioning member of society, right? But with food, you kind of need it, right? And food has such a history with people that it's really hard for them to detach themselves from certain types of food. So, what I've seen is people will start their fitness journey and they expect to never be tempted. And then they're disappointed when they are tempted and then they quit because they've been tempted. And I think this comes from the belief that people who are healthy, people who are fit people, are never tempted. That's the lie. The temptation itself is not the issue. You are going to be tempted. Even the most healthiest, fit people are tempted. Like they feel, oh, I like they have to make a decision. I've talked about this so much where I used to drive by my favorite donut place, and I would have to drive by every week. And I had to just say no. At some point, you just have to say no. Like, I wasn't mad at myself because I liked the donuts. I was like, wow, these donuts are really good. They taste great. And I wasn't mad at myself for wanting the donuts because it's a natural reaction to want sugar, fat, and carbs. Like, that is the holy grail of addiction for food. That's very normal. But it's all about how I respond to that desire and how I respond to that. So, number one, I just want people to be encouraged that it's not the worst thing in the world that you feel inclined to certain foods. That can't be the thing that stops you because honey, all of us are. And I hate to tell it to you, but a lot of us, that still is the case, right? Your desire, your affinity to donuts and fries and chips and cookies and sugar doesn't, it decreases. But to say that these people walk around going, I don't ever crave anything, it's like, y'all, stop the cap. It's true. So the temptation itself is really not a bad thing, and I want you to stop thinking of it as I'm a bad person because I'm tempted. Satan tried to tempt Jesus. That doesn't make Jesus a bad person, right? And the Bible actually says, I love the Bible verse that says, if you are tempted, there's always a way out. God will always make a way out. So that tells us right there, it tells us I can be tempted, but there's also a way out. So Jesus does not condemn me. God does not condemn me for being tempted in anything. But what I do afterwards, because he's like, I gave you a way out and you didn't take it. That's the problem. So the encouragement here is a lot of people, you are going to feel tempted. You are going to feel the desire, the urge, the whatever, especially if food has been your best friend, especially if food has been the way that you have self soothed for so long, especially if food is your addiction. You are going to feel tempted in the very much in the same way that an alcoholic feels tempted, very much in the same way that a person who smokes cigarettes is going to feel tempted, very much in the same way that a person who is a serial cheater is going to feel tempted. The question is, what are you going to do about it? And that's where I think people never make it to the what am I going to do about it? They just go, oh, I'm so bad. I'm a failure because I keep wanting food. I keep craving it food. No, you're not a failure because you keep craving it. You're, I wouldn't call you a failure, but you keep failing because you don't resist the temptation. You fall into the temptation. That's the difference. So don't think that you're like that. The goal is not to never crave anything good. The goal is not to never crave food. I will say what does happen is the more that you train your body to stop eating sugary foods, stop eating fatty, sugary, processed foods, the less your body wants them because those foods are designed 100% designed for you to be addicted to them. So there is an element of truth where it will decrease, but it's to expect to never have that craving is setting yourself up for failure. And then to condemn yourself for having that feeling is setting yourself up for failure because especially when you first start your fitness journey, your neurons have been doing the same thing for I don't know, 20 years, 30 years, 40 years. So to expect your body to all of a sudden not do that is really you're asking it to do the impossible. And this is why there's so many promotions of like Whole 30, low sugar, because that element of temptation decreases when you can't have sugar. The more sugar you have, the more you crave it. The more processed foods you have, the more you crave it. So you do have to take some steps just physically, like with your eating habits, but then you also have to get up here and go, okay, understand that I've been doing this for my whole life. And now I'm asking my body to do something completely different. And my body is going to feel unsafe because for 10, 15, 20 years, I have used food for something that it was not intended. And I'm chemically dependent on food in a way that I wasn't supposed to be. And I have to fight that in the same way that a person has to fight the desire for cigarettes, the desire for alcohol, the desire for drugs. So if you think about your health journey as a path and as a mission to decrease your cravings versus get rid of them, and if you think about your health journey as a mission to learn about why am I so addicted to these foods, instead of condemning yourself for the habits that you have chosen and for the coping mechanism that you have chosen, you will find a lot more success. Okay. Now we are supposed to also, in the same vein, when it comes to temptation, we're supposed to steer clear of temptation. So the other thing is if you know that there's certain foods, certain restaurants, certain whatever things that you have in your house, certain events that are going to tempt you, then maybe the question is, should you go to that event? Should you go to that store? Should you have that in your house? And that's a question that a lot of us we want to stop being tempted without taking the temptation away. That is it's unbiblical. I mean, you're supposed to steer clear of temptation. So if you have chips and Cheetos and candy in your house, whilst simultaneously saying that you're trying to go on a health and fitness journey, you're putting temptation on your doorstep. That's not a wise decision. That's not healthy for you, and it's not biblical. So you might need to remove some of that temptation from your from your home. And I get it. You're going to go in places like if you work, there's always like cookies in the break room and dessert and all that stuff. And, there's some instances where you just can't get away from it. But to the best of your ability, removing temptation from your home is important. Removing, especially as it relates to health and fitness. If you're tempted, same way, if you're tempted to not exercise because there's a TV, move the TV to a different room and put your stair stepper or your treadmill or your elliptical in that same spot. But don't blame the temptation and then go, okay, well, I'm a failure because I've been tempted. Nope, that's not, even the Bible says that's not an excuse. What are you doing about the temptation? What have you done to decrease the temptation or remove it altogether? But the temptation itself is not the thing. You're going to feel tempted, especially as you start your journey. I will say that to the cows come home. You will feel tempted because that's just what our bodies are doing. It's a chemical dependency. You will feel tempted, but it's all about, okay, I'm not bad because I feel tempted. I'm not a bad person. Like whatever you got going on with your self-esteem and stuff, because a lot of times people use that as self-sabotage. So they'll go, oh, I'm tempted, so I'm a bad person, so then I'll never hit my fitness journey, so I may as well eat the whole bag of cookies. Y'all know I'm not here for that. That's not my wheelhouse. That is not my monkey or my circus or my cows or my clowns. So you don't get to go into self-pity and talk about how bad of a person I am because I'm tempted and I just no. Remove the temptation. Understand that the temptation is a normal process, part of your life. It's just what happens. It takes months, years sometimes for people to decrease their temptation around food. And even then, some people, it never completely goes away. So that means they have to exercise self-control. But the temptation is not the issue. The issue is how you respond to that temptation. So what are you going to do about it? Are you going to remove things that are tempting you from your house? That's a great one. I do not keep certain foods in my house. I do not keep ice cream in my house. I don't even want to see it in my refrigerator. And this is someone who's been in the fitness industry for years. I do not want to see it. I do not keep um, ice cream in my house. I don't keep candy in my house. Some other people bring it in, but I do not keep candy in my house because I know myself. I try not to keep sugary treats in my house because I know how tempting it is to just go in there and grab one, then two, then three, then four. And before you know it, you've eaten in excess. Oh, I've just been craving. Yeah, I'm craving them because I put them in my house. And I saw them, my brain went, ooh, beep, beep, beep. All those dopamine signals started lighting up and going, ooh, sugar. So what are you going to do about it? You're going to remove the temptation and then have a strategy for what happens when you are tempted. The Bible says, I will make a way out. So that means that anytime you're tempted by anything, there is a way out. So what are you going to do? One of my favorite strategies is to just walk away. Someone or say no. Someone offers you a, big bowl of cookies and I just say no, no thank you. No thank you. I'm going to pass on dessert. Someone's going to be like, "Oh my gosh, you're restrictive." That's why you're still obese. All right, you guys. That's it for my Faith Friday video. I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Think about a way in which you can remove temptation. I should check and see if somebody said something in the comments. I can't even see. I can't see. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe on this video, you guys. And I will see you in the next one. Bye. Did I get rid of it? There you go.